I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Antoni Martin, co-founder and business development lead at the Hermes network. Antoni, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here.
Hey, hello.
Thank you for being here. I'd love to kick off the interview just by first explaining what is the Hermes network, what exactly does your platform do, and how does it benefit the Ethereum and blockchain ecosystem?
Yes, in the last times, we have seen that if we want to escalate, especially on Ethereum, 2 years ago, maybe there were some side chains. There have been a lot of tentatives to try to escalate. But at the end, especially in the last year, we have realized that one of the ways is with the rollups, that is the creation of a layer 2 on top of layer 1, that it's Ethereum. Okay? Mm-hmm. Regarding this, there have been different developments, and our one in Hermes is based on zero knowledge proof. This is what is allowing us to increase the scalability. Our data is kept on chain, and this is what it makes us a little bit different from the others. And also, which is good, is that calculation, it's on chain, it's off chain, although the data is saved on the chain of Ethereum. That's the main difference, and we are part of this wave of rollups that now are popping up almost in a lot of different places. No?
Mm-hmm. That's great. So Hermes has developed a solution to solve the Ethereum scalability, and especially throughout 2020 as this decentralized finance movement had at one point caused Ethereum transaction fees to be $40 or $50 per transaction. And you really need to have that in the cents or in the micro cents. So that's a huge problem to solve. But your platform doesn't solve Ethereum on the protocol layer. Obviously, you can't mess with the Ethereum network. It's a layer 2 solution. So how can you at some way pinpoint what is the exact problem, and where does the transactions on Ethereum move over to Hermes to solve the scalability?
Yes. What we have seen is that, when we started, our company has been live for 2 years, and it was mainly focused on identity. But what we have seen is that at a certain point, scalability was required. And with this in mind, we started to develop a solution for scalability based on zero knowledge proof that we were already using for privacy, for decentralization. It's like a continuum. Mm-hmm. Then at a certain point, we realized that we had a solution for plain vanilla transactions in order to escalate. Why? Because we were able to perform 2,000 transactions per second. Okay, and we as nobody yet, but or it's still in development, but nobody can perform smart contracts on this layer 2. But at least we were able to perform plain vanilla transactions as a transfer of DAI or Tether, Ether, whatever. Then these are almost 60-70% of the transactions that nowadays are creating this congestion in the network. Then what we pretend is to upload these simple vanilla transactions on the layer 2, and then this is what will help to reduce the price of the gas, and that layer 1 is kept, or it's only used for smart contracts transactions, we can say.
Mm-hmm. Great. And you mentioned that part of the technology that solves this is the ZK-rollups and zero knowledge proofs. And there are a lot of people who have heard of zero knowledge proofs but don't really understand what that means. And from a basic understanding, having you can prove something without having to provide your identity, for one example, in zero knowledge proofs. But you mentioned zero knowledge rollups. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to somebody who's just an Ethereum user sending a transaction?
Yes, exactly. At the end, what the zero knowledge rollups allow us is to create like a Merkle tree. With this, what we can do is we can gather a lot of transactions, as I said, maybe 2,000. Then to keep only the very essential data or the hash that is gathering these 2,000 transactions, and then this can be stored, this can be recorded in the L1 network, which is Ethereum. Then mainly it's helping to create this compression, and it's helping to gather different transactions around.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, for example, if I was a Ethereum user and I was using MetaMask and I was using a decentralized exchange and having to pay those transaction fees, from a transaction and a business perspective, is there more intensive labor and extra steps involved in integrating Hermes to make it faster? Or do I see something on the front end that takes extra steps? Or how does that actually work?
Yeah, no, here the idea, obviously, and this is one of the problems of that we have on Ethereum and on blockchain is the user interface. No, this is one of the main problems to not become mainstream. Then, in order to avoid that, we are creating an interface and a wallet where you will connect with your MetaMask. It's true that to jump from layer 1, that it's MetaMask, to layer 2, that is Hermes network, then you will need like another address. But what we have thought is that you don't need to remember this second address. It will be linked to your first MetaMask, and we are trying to avoid all these points of friction. Then for you, it will be, you will open your MetaMask, or we will want to integrate also with MyEther wallet. Also, you can use the Hermes wallet, and then you are not going to see any difference, or it shouldn't create a bigger friction than the current one. Then answering your question, no, this is not going to create an extra work for you.
Good. And one of the more prominent layer 2 networks in blockchain is, the Lightning Network. And I've heard a lot about it, but it doesn't, I've seen that there isn't really a lot of adoption. A lot of people are still seeming to use Bitcoin and Ethereum on the main network, and not enough people are really moving over to these layer 2 networks to solve the scalability. Is there a way that your team has worked it out so that more people will start using it, or make it so easy to use that it almost forces people to use it?
Well, I think that you are pointing a very valid point, and is that that there is not adoption, and this is true. Then here in our case, we are trying like two different approaches. Okay, one is that, I don't know, for example, in our case, we are using a Hermes network token, because that will be the way how this network will be run. It's what it's like the blood of Hermes, and then you will be able to perform some auctions to bid in order to be able to forge a block, and then at the end you will earn more or less money if you can extract more fees from the transactions, and the difference with the auction that you are paying. Okay, but what happened with these fees that are paid in the auction is that in our concept, what we tried is to help the community, and we will give 40% to community projects, which is the proof of donation. Okay, then maybe we can come back to that later. But with this, what we are trying to do is to engage the community, that the community see that we are not only here to earn money. At the end, yes, we are there, but we're hoping that Hermes network at the end is decentralized, that is self-maintained. We always say that 30% of the rewards will go to the Hermes network, will be used to reward the assets that are inside this network. We need this use, we need adoption, as you were saying. And I think that you are right. And the second point, that what we are facing, or we are focusing our efforts, is how we can create these transactions. Okay, and what we have seen is that nowadays the transactions are coming from the exchanges. Mainly that's what it is, honestly. Maybe because they are more savvy users, they are more used to that. And then we are also approaching the exchanges, and we are offering them one incentive plan, or we are exploring this option in order they onboard themselves in Hermes network, and we can create this ecosystem where we will have the community and we will have the exchanges, and we hope that afterwards they start the connections between them. That's our approach.
Yeah, I agree. Approaching the exchanges is one of the best ways to get adoption, because they're processing so many transactions. And I did see that some of the major exchanges were starting to change their fee structure and pass on the fees on Ethereum when it did go up to $50, because they were actually losing money because they initially had low fees set. And one of the top altcoin exchanges for volume right now is is Binance, and Binance is also working on some scalability solutions for Ethereum with this Binance Smart Chain. Now, Hermes has the ZK-rollups, which sounds like some unique proprietary solution that maybe Binance doesn't have, but at the same time, they may have connections. And you did mention that it is getting competitive with all of these other platforms because it is a huge problem right now that needs to be solved. Do you see that what the technology stack that you have is unique enough and has a competitive advantage that it will gain adoption and be able to compete with things like Binance Smart Chain?
Well, of course, I mean, I think that my solution is the best one, no? By definition, or I see a lot of advantages, as I told you at the beginning, because there is the SNARS, the ZK-rollup, the privacy, the decentralization. Nevertheless, our approach, we accept that we should be able to live with another chains, rollups, whatever. I mean, also for example, in our case, we have integrated, or one of our aims is to integrate the massive migrations, because at the end, without interconnectivity, each one of us will be dead. Yeah. I mean, I don't expect that we will be the winners and we will have a monopoly. Maybe also, honestly, this is not what I'm looking for. What we are doing here is to push the cutting edge technology. I think, as I said at the beginning, which for me it's really good, is that we are able to store data on chain. We are totally decentralized. I mean, there is not another, or at least there are not another decentralized rollups in this sense. I mean, we are pushing really hard on that. I mean, the other projects that are moving forward, I have a huge respect for them. I mean, technically, they are all really good. And for me, our aim is to create this network effect, as I told you then. If Binance, they have their chain, which is good, but I am able to attract them and to offer them a good solution in order they also onboard the Hermes network, I have no problem that they are using the wrong one. I mean, that's clear. But what I need is as much, of course, actors and stakeholders involved as possible. Because especially, for example, Binance and the centralized exchange, they have their own ledger. No, then there it's not my space. But when Binance transfer to Kraken to Bitfinex, whatever, then is when our network makes sense and it can save a lot of gas and it can create a very smoothly process for the user.
Definitely. And you mentioned the decentralization part, and you also mentioned previously that the Hermes token, the network token, is launched. Can you talk, and that helps with the decentralization to get the community involved and get rewards for helping to contribute. Now you also mentioned that it's not actually live in terms of the product running with exchanges. Can you talk about where you're at right now and where you're planning to be in the next 6 months?
Of course. First of all, I mean, we have, I mean, this project was although we explored rollup for a lot of months, but when we decided to launch this network was end of June. I mean, we are really running. This is a race. And what we have seen, what we are trying to do during this month is to explain in a blog, we are explaining the concept, we're explaining this proof of donation, and then in order now that we are approaching the exchanges and also some retail customers, they were asking, okay, Antoni, well, or Hermes or Antoni, whatever, where we can find these tokens. Then we have created 2 liquidity pools, one in Balancer and another one in Uniswap. This is really helpful also because now when we go to the exchanges, then it's not, okay, what is Hermes? What are you talking me about? I mean, it's one token that you created. No, I can say, okay, no, this is one token that it's listed here. There is this demand. At least I have an anchor price. I have a reference price. Okay. Then our idea is that we will launch end of November, mid of December. I mean, as I said, we are running a lot, but also we have already finished the product. But what we are doing now is we are running audits, we are running tests. I mean, this is one smart contract that, as you can imagine, can have millions of assets inside. And one thing is that we were able to run and we were able to deliver a good product because we have the previous knowledge. But also the truth is we don't want to fail because there is a hole or there is a bug that we are not able to detect. And now we are taking the time to analyze, we are taking the time to test, we are we are here, as I say, to create this network in the long term. And we prefer to spend one more month analyzing and doing and performing all the tests that are required. And if you are asking me, yes, the idea is to launch end of November, mid of December. And then also the idea is that before, maybe 2-3 weeks before, we start to onboard people with wallets, then people who want to already start to import or to upload their assets. We are creating some kind of farming in order to incentivize this translation and this movement this move to the new level, to the new layer. And this is the current status. I mean, and I think you are right that right now, for me, our objective is to deliver a product. This is where we have the pressure, because now, okay, I cannot say that we are nothing, because we are a lot of things, but yes, we need to face the real world. But also, the tempo is quite good, because then we can approach stakeholders from the community, from the exchanges, and we are creating these synergies that we were waiting for.
Definitely. And we're running out of time, Antoni, but you mentioned that you're looking for more community members and strategic partners. What's the best way for them to reach out and to join?
Well, we have the Hermes Network channel in Telegram. We have hello.hermes.network. I mean, we can be approached by different channels. We are answering all the approaches that we have, and we are happy to try to create this community, exactly, this network.
Great. Well, I will leave those links in the description box below for the viewers as well. Thanks so much for the time, and all the best moving forward with Hermes Network, and let's follow up in the near future.
Perfect. Thanks for your time.